Today is May 23rd, 2024. I am recording this outside of my backyard. If you can hear the fountain outside. Uh, for those of you who are familiar with my content, I mostly play League of Legends, but for this unedited YouTube video I'm gonna basically talk something completely different. So yeah, if you read the title of this video, you probably already figure it out by now, but might as well give some backstory as to how this all unfolded. So, I was diagnosed with autism, but I believe it was 3 years ago, 2021, since I was formally diagnosed with ASD, I won't say specifically, but Asperger's. So I'm part of I, I have autism essentially. So might as well start from the beginning, to be quite honest. So I was born in India, but lived in the US for most of my life. Obviously, for most of my childhood during India, I couldn't remember exactly, but the only thing that I could remember from my parents is that when I saw photos of this as old photos of this as well as when I was a baby, I would constantly look at newspapers. Obviously, at that time, I didn't know how to read, but just I constantly focused on reading it. I'll explain why it's important later, but uh, after moving to the US in 2002, uh, I grew up most of my life in the US, and I thought I had a pretty normal upbringing, like going to school, having these interests as a certain interests as a kid and whatnot. But I was a little bit different in the sense that I didn't make that many friends during my early, elementary school to middle school. I would say I didn't have a good consistent relationship with friends. Like I did have one or two friends on occasion where I would talk to, but nothing really stuck. But I did have a certain interest that stuck throughout my uh, throughout my childhood, which again will be leading up later. As a kid, I was always fascinated with cars and had a collection of toy cars as a kid. And during first grade, for the every year in my old elementary school, like there would be a special thing for like the 100th day of school, and I would put 100 toy cars as an example. And my other special interest at that time was playing a musical instrument. Ever since I started playing the cello during sixth grade, I pretty much stuck to it ever up until then, until I graduated high school. So those are like some of the special interests I had as a kid. But yeah, but then like high school, college, like things were, I guess I would say, would be normal for me. Yeah, and yes, I did have a couple of friends here and there. I did still continue some of my special interests, which was playing the cello with my middle school and high school orchestras. was after I moved from California, which is where I first lived. And yeah, I think like my childhood wasn't that went smoothly, like no bumps on the road. So it was then up until after college and when I got my first job. After I quit my first job just before a pandemic had hit, things like sort of start like we slowly started seeing it, but eventually my brother, thankfully, he told me to take what is called the empathy quotient test, and that showed had any sort, uh, if I was a neurodivergent person or if I slash a mental disorder. So I took that uh, I took that test, and it turned out that I could have autism, and and my mom was also aware of this as well after taking it, and then was like, might as well go get tested for it, and then got tested, did some official like neuropsychological testing on it, and lo and behold, I was officially diagnosed with autism. Um, uh, so yeah, so I'm naturally a very introverted person. I don't know if most or all of the or most autistic people are introverted. I'm not sure. I want to get look more into autism, and what make what makes us unique. No, I won't put that in quotes. I would say basically unique among um, typical typical average human beings. You get what I'm saying. So yeah. So why did I want to make this video in the first place? Well, I am an avid gamer myself, as I mentioned previously, and there was one YouTube video that I watched. One popular YouTube or sorry, League content creator by the name of Cadro, an West streamer. He invited a League of Legends pro player named Reckless, who I idolized playing League of Legends and watching League of Legends esports with his dedication, his passion, his work ethic among about the game. And recently, he was autistic. I was like, cool. Someone that I look up to also shares a similar thing that we have. And there's a video about it of like how he figured out he was autistic and whatnot. For I can give some examples like if like this also basically what he explains is was also related to me to a T. Like for example, like if I don't have if a routine isn't set in place, then my whole day is in complete shambles. That's that's how we function as autistic people. So like he's exactly right. And same with me because if I don't do my morning routine, I guess most people would say this if they have a certain routine, but I'm talking about it in the lens of an uh, autistic person. Like, sure, a normal person would say, "Oh, if I don't do this, it's whatever." For some people, but for autistic people like me, if I don't do my routine, I feel like I can't function at all whatsoever. So if I don't have a certain routine in place throughout the day, I just can't function properly. So That's one example. Well, and also changing of environment was another example he mentioned. I'll link a video of the clip in the description down below. So yeah, in terms of how it impacted me personally, well, ever since I got laid off, I believe it was last year or the year before, or and even when I left my first job in COVID, terms of employment for autistic people, it was pretty frustrating, especially for me and my parents, because as you know, my parents are getting old and they can't do everything in they can't do everything by themselves, so I have to help them around the house in the best way that I can. But anywho, so in terms of my employment situation as an autistic adult, it was pretty frustrating. Like we weren't sure like why wasn't I getting landing a job of that I wanted. Originally, I wanted to work as a data analyst, but now I decided to go for a career change. But thankfully, there were resources out there, specifically where the state that I'm currently, specifically my state, they had resources for people like me who are trying to getting getting into employment. So, oh, for I can link those resources as well in the description. So, yeah, uh, and those resources has paid dividends for me. Like, in fact, the Autism Society of my state, which has even got me into the workplace for an internship as a result, and now I'm waiting on a current internship that I'm working working for my local state library. So hopefully that goes well. I know my thoughts are all over the place about everything, but hopefully once I delve more into autism and do a little bit more research, I can maybe make some videos like these where I can talk more about autism, especially those in the gaming community, because like I mentioned before, Reckless, as a professional esports player, they're being open about it, and also some uh, in the past where some esports players weren't treated fairly, and hence mental health became an issue, and that's another thing that I could also talk about in some of my videos. Yeah, in terms of like how I don't want to, in terms of like family things, like my parents, like at that time they were aware I was different, but they weren't exactly sure as to what it was. But after like giving a brief explanation of what um, autism is, they have a rough idea, but they still don't fully understand it. So it's basically my due diligence to do that, become more aware about and make my parents become more aware about it. And in terms of like family situations, whenever there's among stress in the house, like as an autistic person, like it uh it can get frustrating, in, but uh, I've found like ways to cope with that stress and manage it and whatnot. I've looked into like the philosophy of stoicism about controlling my environment, about about how I can control myself no matter what the environment is. Like if, yeah, I don't want to talk too much detail into my whole family situation, but I'll just put it this way: if there was any sort of stress going on in the house, I have ways of doing it, basically. So, what else is? What else can I think uh, that I can talk about in terms of my autism? Um, hmm. Oh yeah, I am a part of like a certain communities that are very open to neurodivergent people, uh, and I'm providing open space for us autistic people. Even in there are autistic streamers out there on Twitch, YouTube, whatever. So there are spaces out there for people like me who can just be themselves and not have to be locked into what people think in today's society. So that's I, as you know, I also stream. So I also want to provide that uh, space as well, not only for mental health but also for for also autistic people as well, like people who have similar interests like me, like uh, including my interest now in gaming and music. I'm also a big advocate in sports, which they also are trying to go through in terms of like mental health issues and whatnot. But that's a different topic for later. But yeah, I have grown into having different special interests and maybe coming back to some of the old ones, like I mentioned, music. Like I didn't touch the cello after I graduate high school. Like I did play the cello during COVID, but it was more it was more of an in and out sort of thing. So I wanted to get back into that, and my main goal in life as an autistic person is to have that sense of independence. Like I would say for most people my age going through what I am right now, most people would say that. But as an artistic person, it is a dream come true being on your own, making your own choices, like being physically independent, like not being tied into where you've been living for most of your life and whatnot. So yeah, yeah, I'll I'll try my best to link some good sources about autism. If you guys are curious about what autism is, I will link them down in the description. Yeah, sorry it was all over the place. I just wanted to get my thoughts on what everything is and how I am as a artistic person. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah. Uh, lastly, I know this is kind of cliche. Like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully, I can make more videos like this if you guys are interested. So I'll see you guys later. See ya.